What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for November 30th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Saturday edition of the podcast. Last day of November, last day of college football regular season. The Temple Football Owls will finally end this miserable season. Lots of speculation with the team about whether the new president is going to drop the football program. He did release a statement saying he will not. I don't know. I still, as much as I would love to see them have a good college football team, would love to take those resources and put them into the basketball team. But college football is, believe it or not, the moneymaker, even though the football team itself loses money. I don't know. It's a mess. The whole NIL, and I think the whole college football landscape is going to change drastically over the next 5 years. Don't know what it's going to look like, but it's a mess. So the Owls end their season today against, I believe, North Texas. What a rivalry game that is. Anyway, let's do some quick housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. Don't forget to donate to our gift and food drive. Kind of wrapping up today the gift card portion of it. I'm going to go Monday and drop off some gift cards to the Maddie Ann Dixon Community Cupboard. And then starting tomorrow, we will do our reverse advent calendar. If you need the list, I've had a few people reach out to me asking for the list so they can kind of do some shopping and do that. Hit me up and I will gladly give you that list. If you can't donate the actual items, you can still go to the GoFundMe. The link is in the description. Let's make some holiday magic happen for our friends and neighbors. But we've blown out last year's donation numbers out of the water. Let's continue to just set a record and then set the bar high going in for next year. But thank you to everyone who has donated so far. And when it comes to the items, you can always just Amazon them to my house if that's easier. You can Amazon them to the Mag and Dixon Community Cupboard. Just be sure to let them know that it's part of the This Day in Philly Sports History fundraiser. So starting tomorrow is our reverse advent calendar. Due to the popularity of last year's advent calendar where I did a bunch of random things for Philly sports, bringing it back this year, we're going to do an advent calendar of forgotten teams in Philly. Teams that you either forgot were in Philly at one point or didn't even know that played. It's kind of inspired by a couple weeks ago, we did the Philadelphia Quakers, which was a hockey team in the 1930s for a year. But was able to compile a list of 24 teams that were in Philly or the very close suburbs that, again, you either forgot were here or didn't realize were here. So excited for that. That will kick off tomorrow as well. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Schedule is still screwed up this week with being off of work and everything, so I haven't listened to the full thing yet. But it should be a good one with all the things that happened in the NFC East this past week. And then go do some shopping at phillygoat.com. Be sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery. They got you covered for all kinds of gifts. They got the coffee, any kind of t-shirt, hoodie you want, the cooler backpacks, and the cooler duffel bag, which are great for the pool and the beach. So go check them out and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. Yesterday, in honor of him scoring 4 goals in a game against Vancouver, I asked you, is John LeClair a Hockey Hall of Famer? 73% of you said yes, he is. Hard to make the argument that he's not. He's kind of one of those, he's borderline, but he's like on the higher end of borderline. You can certainly look at the numbers and make the case. But thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. There'll be another one later in the show. And then speaking of the Flyers, good win against the New York Rangers yesterday, 3-1. Travis Konecny had 2 goals. Ivan Fedotov has been outstanding filling in for goal. He's been hot, standing on his head, made 23 saves. The Flyers, don't look now, are currently tied for that final wild card spot. It's way early in the season still. but they've gotten it together after that rough start. They've been playing with a lot of energy and effort, and they could be turning the corner. And it's been fun watching them. They're back in action tonight out in St. Louis to take on the Blues. And then from one extreme to the other, Sixers are in action tonight out in Detroit in a game that they should be able to win. But do we want them to win? At this point, I think the lottery watch is fair game and well within the realm of possibility. No Joe tonight, who's out with the knee and personal reasons, whatever that is. There's lots of speculation going on there. People were asking, is it paternity leave? I don't know. It's personal reasons. So maybe he's reevaluating what he wants to do. They're a mess. Paul George was questionable, or is questionable for tonight. Was a full participant in practice yesterday. So maybe we'll see Paul George, Tyrese, and Jarrett McCain play. I don't know. This team is just dumpster fire central. But Sixers, Detroit tonight out in the, I don't know what it's called. It used to be the Palace of Auburn Hills. I don't know what their new stadium is called. Either way, that's where the Sixers are. All right, some Eagles news. Darius Slay is out, could not clear concussion protocol. Devonta Smith is officially listed as questionable. He was, again, a limited participant in practice yesterday. Not sure how and where that stands. It'd be a good boost for them if he's in there. But at the same time, you kind of want to make sure that you don't or soft tissue injuries, you don't want to make it worse. Unless they're figuring if he does kind of have to sit out, the way the schedule sets up, it would be a good time. I don't know. But if Devontae's in there, that's a huge boost for the Eagles tomorrow in Baltimore. Not a lot of news, but this was a great video. Apparently, Zach Bond was mic'd up, and they caught him saying something to Nakobe Dean along the lines of, if Nick is aggressive, it means he trusts us. And then Nick came over on the sideline after it was one of the plays in the game against the Rams, and Sirianni came over and said, I decided to go for that because I trust you. And I think that's huge. The players know it. The players see it. And you can make of it what you will. But I got to say, we've been wrong. We were wrong. We were too hard on Sirianni early in the season. The guys love him. They play hard for him. They believe in him. He believes in them. And truthfully, that's what you want for a head coach. I mean, look at what happened in the Bears game. Like, just complete and total, dude got fired. Like I said, that's the kind of guy you want coaching the team. And I was tough on him. I was wrong. I think a lot of people in Philly were overreacted somewhat to Nick Sirianni. And yes, he did need to rein it in when he's yelling at fans. But I think we were wrong about him. All right. All of that being said leads to today's question of the day. If you watched that Kansas City Raiders game, it was not a good game. But it became glaringly obvious that the Chiefs are not a good football team. And I know a lot of people were saying they're a fraudulent 8-0, 9-0, whatever they were. I think they're a fraudulent team. So with all that being said, where do you put the Eagles in the hierarchy of the NFL teams right now? Are they a top 3 team? I think you can make the argument Detroit, Buffalo, the Eagles, Baltimore. I guess to a certain point you could say Kansas City, Minnesota. Those are like the top teams. I think Kansas City is a bunch of frauds, though, this year. I think they're going to get exposed in the playoffs. But are the Eagles a top 3 team right now in the NFL? 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. I think you can make a strong case for it. And if they come out and play well tomorrow, win or lose, I think you can certainly make the case that they are a top 3 team. But let me know. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Let's have a little bit of fun on a Saturday. Lots of discussion yesterday over stuffing versus filling. Don't care what you say, it's filling. And I think it was because my grandma put it in the turkey and filled the turkey. I don't think now with all the health guidelines and everything, I don't think you can get away with stuffing your turkey with filling anymore due to salmonella. But old school, they would put it right there in the turkey. But let's have some fun. Are the Eagles a top 3 team in the NFL right now? I say, I mean, if they're not top three, they're certainly 4 or 5. So I think tomorrow will go a long way in determining where they stack up in the hierarchy of the NFL. All right, today we're going to hop in the way back machine and go all the way back to 1901. And on this day in 1901, Army played Navy down at Franklin Field. Army won 11-5, but that wasn't the story. The game was not the story. This was a big one because it was the first time that a sitting president had attended the game. The rivalry started in 1890. Teddy Roosevelt became the first sitting president to attend the Army-Navy game. He started the tradition of switching sides and made sure, I believe he started off on the Army side first. Halftime went over to the Navy side. The Secretary of Defense did the opposite, and they do that so there's always a military leader on each sideline during the game. Apparently, the ovation that Teddy Roosevelt got when he came into the stadium was outstanding. He took a train up from D.C. and got there right before the game started to a loud ovation. So Teddy Roosevelt was the first sitting president to attend the game. Since then, 10 other presidents, and I was surprised at this. I thought all the presidents actually did attend the game, but only 10 have attended. Teddy, Harry Truman, who has the most games attended, he went 7 of the 8 times when he was in office. The 8th time that he missed, he happened to be on vacation. George W. Bush attended, Donald Trump, JFK, Woodrow Wilson, Calvin Coolidge, Gerald Ford, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama have all attended the Army-Navy game. Navy leads the all-time series 62, 55, and 7. And Philly has hosted the most games all time at 90. Since more recent times, they've kind of rotated it around. It's played in New York a lot, down in Baltimore. I think it's been played in Chicago before. So the next time it will be in Philly is in 2027. Both teams now are in the AAC. So it is a possibility that we get Army-Navy on back-to-back weekends. Excuse me. Technically, this is a non-conference game for them. So when they play next week, it's a non-conference game. If both of them were in the AAC championship game, they would play again the following week. Or I think the AAC championship game would be first and then the actual Army-Navy game. But either way, we could have a scenario where we get back-to-back Army-Navy games. And I just remember the Army-Navy game before the conference championship sort of was the last game of the college football season, getting ready to gear up for all the bowl games back when bowl games actually meant something. So it was always fun to watch Army versus Navy. And living in the city as long as I have, like just being downtown when the Army-Navy game comes in and you go into a bar and there's Army fans, Navy fans. It's just one of those great rivalries in college football. But on this day in 1901, the Army-Navy game was played at Franklin Field. Army beat Navy 11-5, but the big story was Teddy Roosevelt became the first president to actually attend the game, started the tradition of the president switching sides. And since then, 10 other presidents have gone and attended the game. And again, I just thought that was part of the duties of being president, to be honest. So the fact that so many of the presidents, there's been 47 now, well, 45 if you count Woodrow and Trump, who were elected, or not Woodrow, Grover Cleveland, who they both have been elected on non-consecutive terms. There's your history lesson for today. But surprisingly, 37 presidents did not attend the Army-Navy game. Kind of weird. But Teddy Roosevelt started that tradition on this day back in 1901 down at Franklin Field. We'll have our 3 keys to the Eagles beating the Ravens tomorrow, as well as our pick. We are officially 6-5, looking to get more into the black this week. Have a couple leans I'm going with on this game. Starting to see the strategy pretty well, so stay tuned for that tomorrow. The reverse advent calendar kicks off, as well as our advent calendar on forgotten teams in Philadelphia sports history. So stay tuned for that. Spread the word. We'll have an update on the Sixers reluctantly. Maybe they can actually win a game. Maybe. Who knows? Does anybody care? Either way, we will have the update on that. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for November 30th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Saturday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.